Hi, my name is Adam Ohren. I'm a developer advocate here at Google for the AdWords API. And today we're going to talk about campaign optimization services in the AdWords API, and specifically the Targeting Idea Service and the TrafficEstimator Service. These are two services you can use to help optimize your campaigns in AdWords. So, a quick overview of what we're going to be covering today. First of all, I'm going to touch a little bit upon the optimization objectives that you're trying to achieve when using these services. And then what you can actually achieve these objectives and how you can do that with the AdWords API services. Thirdly, we're going to talk about which services exactly, the Targeting Idea Service and the TrafficEstimator Service, and how you can use them via the API. And finally, how you can utilize these estimates for a new campaign and create a new campaign that is based upon the data that you've gotten from these services. And we'll also top it off by touching on how you can optimize existing campaigns. Once you have everything set up, how can you use these services to iterate over what you already have to make it better? First of all, the optimization objectives. There are four main things here. First of all, you want to be able to create relevant campaigns that drive high traffic volumes. And typically you want to maximize your ROI by minimizing your CPC. So the less that you can actually pay per click, the more money and return on investment you can get when those clicks pay off for you. Third, you want to be able to maintain and improve campaigns on a continual basis. And finally, you want to be able to do all three of these things efficiently and scalably. So that's the API. That's the programmatic part of this that allows you to do this on a continual basis without having to have an account manager sit in front of the AdWords UI all day and click and optimize things on a continual basis. So, achieving these objectives. This isn't a talk primarily about account management, but it is important to understand the importance of quality score. When you're trying to create relative campaigns and drive high traffic volumes, these are objectives that are directly affected by quality score. Quality score is one of the most important metrics when optimizing keywords. It affects all four of the objectives that you want to achieve here, but directly affects the first two by the campaign relevance, driving high traffic volumes, and more importantly, or perhaps most importantly, providing a key role in minimizing the CPC that you pay in AdWords. So what exactly does a quality score influence? Well, there are four main things here. First of all, eligibility. A high quality score means this determines whether your ad is even eligible to enter an auction for a particular query. So your ads will show more often if you have a high quality score because the ads and the keywords associated with them are automatically eligible to run more often. Position. This determines the relative position of an ad in relation to the other ads on the result page. Simply put, the better your quality score, the higher up the higher up on the page you're eligible to be. This also directly affects the price that you pay per CPC. Your high quality score reduces the CPC you need for a click, so if you have a high quality score, then you actually get to pay a lower price for a given click compared to somebody who doesn't have as high of a quality score. Finally, this also affects the top slot. On AdWords search results, there are 3 top slots that allow you to show your ads above the organic query results, and only the ads with the highest quality score are eligible to show up there. So what contributes to quality score? Well, quality score is a ranking from 1 to 10 influenced by 3 main factors. One of those being the landing page, the relevance of your landing page to your ad query, the content on the landing page, whether it uses a lot of flash or not, whether it's a good experience for the user. So your overall quality on your landing page is very important, as well as the relevance of the ad to the query text. Is your ad very relevant to the keywords you're advertising on? The better the correlation there, the higher the quality score. And perhaps most importantly, CTR, click-through rate. This is one of the most important factors in determining what your quality score is, mainly because it is an actual measure of how your ad is doing. The other things are guesses by us and things that we know are good quality indicators, but click-through rate, how often somebody's actually clicking on your ad, there's no arguing with that. That's a very important metric and is a key to determining whether users are actually using your ad and it's effective or not. So CTR is one of the biggest things you want to focus on here. So the available data from the AdWords API that allows you to make all these calculations and do some optimization. Some of the key components that we're going to be talking about in the upcoming slides here are first keyword ideas, secondly keyword historic stats data, so the average traffic that you can expect per keyword. Traffic estimate data. You can actually construct mock ad groups and campaigns, or refer to existing ad groups and campaigns in an AdWords account and get traffic estimates based on certain key factors, whether you change the budget, the max CPC, targeting location. AdWords can give you forward-looking traffic estimate data to give you estimates on how well that's going to perform. You can also get cost and click-through rate estimates, which are very important, according to the last slide, in how you can optimize your campaigns. And you can also retrieve keyword search volume estimates to help inform these decisions as well. So, getting back to the API, what exactly does the API offer as far as optimization services to achieve these objectives? There are three main components here, the first two of which are the Targeting Ideas Service, TIS, and the TrafficEstimator Service, TES. The Targeting Ideas Service allows you to generate new keyword ideas based on a certain set of parameters, including some seed keywords. So if you have an initial list of keywords that you already know, either from a customer or something that's been handpicked by an account manager, or if you know the landing page, for instance, of an advertiser's website, you can use those as seeds to come up with keyword ideas to use in a campaign. This service also allows you to retrieve some historic statistics for existing keywords based on those same parameters. The TrafficEstimator Service, on the other hand, allows you to actually get forward-looking estimates for actual AdWords campaigns, ad groups, and keywords based on things that are either already in your AdWords account or mock campaign ad groups and keywords that you construct specifically for this service. These services are very frequently used together. You get the seed ideas from Targeting Ideas Service and feed those in the TrafficEstimator Service, wrapping the keyword ideas that you get in ad groups and then those ad groups in campaigns, and then using that to generate traffic estimates. So that's what we're going to focus on here, how you can actually use both of these services together to get end-to-end traffic estimates from AdWords using targeting ideas generated also by the Targeting Ideas Service. It's also the third point here, and the reason it's included here, reporting data, is very important, because it's one thing to set up these estimates and get them and create campaigns, but the big part of this is looking at the reporting data to see how your estimates and your calculations actually perform in AdWords in the wild. So this can't be done in a vacuum. Reporting data is a very important way and source for looking at the data that you're getting and iterating on this process and refining your ideas down the road. So we'll touch a little bit upon that after we talk about the two services. First of all, let's take a look at the Targeting Idea Service. The Targeting Idea Service takes a targeting idea selector in order to configure its request. The key parts of this are search parameters, keyword or placements, specifying whether you're requesting data for keywords or placements. I believe you need to use keywords now. The latest version of the AdWords API has deprecated support for placements in this service. You also have to set whether you're asking for ideas or stats. So you can actually use this service to generate new keyword ideas, or you can actually give it existing keywords and say, no, I don't need any more keywords based on these, but I'd like to get some stats about how these keywords typically perform in AdWords. These are the stats you typically get back when you ask for ideas. You can also use this service to get them for keywords that you already know ahead of time. The fourth component of the selector is the attribute type collection. And this is similar to a selector in our other AdWords API services. This lets you define the type of things you want to get back. So based on your search parameters, the top thing there, the attribute types defines the actual result parameters. Okay, so for these search parameters, these are the types of information that I'm interested in getting back. So if you actually look at the search parameters and attribute types in tandem, you can see on the left here, these are search parameters. So these are the type of things that you can use to configure a request. There are things in there like the URL, the keyword. So if you actually want to get keyword ideas based on existing keywords, a keyword set, you would use the related to query parameter. You can also base your keyword ideas on a given landing page out there on the web. That's the related to URL parameter. And on the right here, the attribute types are the things you're interested in receiving. So, okay, given these parameters, here's what I want back in my results. And you have things like CPC, keywords, search volume. So you configure your request input on the left, and you define what you want to come back in the attribute type collection on the right. So taking a look at an example on what a Targeting Idea Service request looks like, you can set some parameters up here on the top. You can set the language to English. You can set the landing page there to a landing page you already know of. you can set the targeting location to the UK. You tell it that you want new targeting ideas and that they're keywords. And then you specify 4 attribute types that you want back about these new keywords that you're requesting. And once you submit that request to the AdWords API, you get these 4 things that you specified back in a report. You get the keyword text that it recommended, and you get the other metrics, including the expected CPC there and some competition metrics for each one. So once you use that, the other component of this is the Traffic Estimator service. And like I mentioned, you usually want to feed the ideas that come out of this previous step, the Targeting Idea Service, into a request via the Traffic Estimator Service. So now that you've gotten your keyword ideas, you can feed those in to the Traffic Estimator, wrap them in an ad group and campaign, given certain configuration options, and then see what AdWords expects you to get out of these things. So the previous service is limited just on keywords and criteria. So this Traffic Estimator service provides a much more holistic estimate on what you can expect once those ideas are wrapped up in an AdWords campaign. So the request here is nested. Inside the Traffic Estimator selector, you have a campaign estimate, and inside that you have an ad group estimate, and inside that you have keyword estimates. So the same structure that you have in a normal AdWords account with campaigns that contain ad groups that contain keywords, you structure the Traffic Estimator service request the same way. The selector has a campaign, ad group, and keyword nested structure. So if you look at the request there, at the bottom level, at the keyword estimate request, that's where you set the actual keywords and max CPCs and things and properties of the keywords. So if you got the results from the last service, you would set it there. At the ad group level, you can set an max CPC or an ad group ID. And then at the top level there, you can actually configure some properties of the campaign itself. Once you do that, you send the request to the Traffic Estimator service, and you get back campaign estimates. Each one of these campaign estimates will have an ad group estimate inside it, and each ad group estimate will have a keyword estimate inside it. And these map one-to-one to the things you sent in the request. And all the way down inside in the keyword estimate result object is where you actually get the results that you're looking for. So we'll go through a code example on how to exactly pack up this request and look at the response in the upcoming slides. Just to look at an example of what this might look like, here's a request that you can structure for the Traffic Estimator service using the keywords that you got in the previous example. So you start off by creating a campaign estimate request and setting the language to English and the location to the UK. You can then create an ad group inside of that and set its max CPC. And then finally, you can take the keyword ideas that you got from the previous example and add them to the ad group request as keyword estimates inside the ad group. So if you sent that request to the Traffic Estimator service, here's an example of what you would get back. For each keyword, when you unwrap the whole response object and took a look at everything you got back from them, you have some estimates here and some metrics that you've requested. One of the key components of this, if you look at the second to last column, is CTR. So now you've actually gotten a CTR estimate, which, like we mentioned in the previous slide, is a very good proxy for quality score. It may not be exact, but it's very good. So now you can actually get CTR estimates based on the ideas that you gotten in the previous example from the previous service. And so these are the things that you can use to actually estimate how well and how good of a quality your upcoming campaigns based on these ideas are going to be. So let's walk through some code examples on how you can use these services to build new campaigns based on some of this data. So in the following slides, here's the idea that we're going to be working with. The business in question, we're going to assume is a bakery based in New York City, and it has a website already on the internet somewhere. And so what we're going to do is walk through an example that shows how you can use the Targeting Ideas service to get some good keyword ideas for this bakery and evaluate some existing keyword ideas that you may already have. Either the business owner provided them and typed them in and thinks they're good ideas and just wants to validate those decisions. Or if you're an account manager and you already have a taxonomy and you know the bakeries usually do well for certain keywords, you can evaluate how this particular bakery is going to do in this circumstance as well. And then once you have those targeting ideas, we're going to pass them to the Traffic Estimator service to plug those keywords into a complete campaign and estimate traffic volumes and costs for this new campaign that we're planning on building. So the first part of this is using the Targeting Ideas service to get keyword ideas. So you create a new Targeting Ideas selector. You set the request type to ideas and the idea type to keywords. And then you set the attribute types that you want returned in your response. So in this particular case, we want new keywords. So we want the keyword text, we want a search volume, we want the estimated average CPC for these keywords, and a measure of the competition. So how many other customers, AdWords customers, are also looking to compete on these keywords as well. So it'll give us an idea of how competitive we need to be when bidding for each one of these keywords. And next, we create the search query parameters here. The related to query search parameters option allows us to give it an initial set of keywords. We're saying the new keyword ideas that we want them to be related to these existing queries. So given it's a bakery, we could start off with some ideas of our own. So bakery, pastries, birthday cake. You can add anything else there that you thought of or that the customer provided. And these will be your initial seed of keywords that the Targeting Idea Service is going to use to generate new ideas. You can also set the location parameter. So you can set the location to New York in this case here. And you can also set a category products and services parameter. So if you actually know ahead of time what predefined AdWords category that this business falls into, you can actually set it here to make sure you get unambiguous keyword ideas related to just that product and services category. You can see the Appendix A in the developer help documentation for a full list of category IDs and categories supported by the AdWords API. So you would set that here based on the ID. So the ID in this example here, 13691, is for bakeries. Finally, you would set the related to URL search parameter. This is the actual URL that we know is corresponding to this business. So say it was newyorkbakery.com. We would set the related to URL search parameter and set the URL of the website. This allows the Targeting Idea Service to also base its idea on some of the content of the landing page. So for example, if this particular bakery made very good wedding cakes and there was only something that was mentioned on their webpage, then the Targeting Idea Service may actually pick up on that and include wedding cakes in one of the ideas that it returns to you. So finally, you take all these things that you've configured, you wrap them up in the selector and set the search parameters to these different options, and then call the Targeting Idea Service get method using that Targeting Idea selector. Putting the results that you would expect to get back into a table, you should get something like this. For each of the 4 attribute types that you selected results for, keyword text, average search volume, average CPC, and competition, you'll get a row that contains all those different values. So cake, bakery, bakery story, specialty cakes, an estimate of the search volumes, the CPC you can expect for that particular keyword, and a metric of how competitive it is, how many other advertisers in that area, based on the other parameters that you put in, are bidding on those same keywords. Now these are ideas that you can use to pass into the second part of this, the TrafficEstimator Service. You can plug in the keywords you got from the last example and wrap them into an ad group, and then wrap that in a campaign, and then actually get legitimate, bona fide, forward-looking estimates based on how these ideas will perform when wrapped in an AdWords campaign configured that way. So the TrafficEstimator Service. You start off here by creating the keyword estimate request. So this is a nested structure. We start from the bottom up and build it from the most specific thing out. So start with the most specific thing at the bottom, the keyword estimate requests. Iterate through an array of candidate keywords. We're assuming that this is the same keywords we just got back from the Targeting Idea Service. So this would be our cake, bakeries, and everything that we just got back. So for each one of those, you create a new keyword and insert it into the keyword request. Now, once we have all the keyword requests built up like that, we want to wrap them up in an ad group estimate request object. So we create an ad group estimate request and set the keywords there inside that ad group to be those keyword estimate requests that we just created. Here's also, you can set the max CPC for the ad group. So if you're trying to get an estimate based on a 60-cent CPC for this account, you can actually set in the estimate here, assume that the ad group is set with max CPC to 60 cents. So this will throttle and control the estimates you get back, assuming that that's your CPC. So you add that ad group estimate request, and you want to wrap that up finally in a campaign estimate request. So here's where you can actually set some options that exist at a campaign level if you want to configure things that way. In this example here, we take the ad group request, we wrap it up in the campaign estimate request object, And at the campaign level, we can actually set the location and language for this campaign. So we're going to assume that all these keywords are placed into a campaign whose location is New York. This is the location ID for New York in the example code here. And whose language is English. Again, here's the criteria ID for English. So you could set those criteria on the campaign estimate request, and then add the campaign estimate request. When you send that to the Traffic Estimator object, you'll get a stats estimate that comes back for each keyword contained. You'll get average CPC, average position, clicks per day, impressions per day, click-through rate, and total cost. In bold here is click-through rate, or CTR. So this is where the rubber hits the road, and this is one of the more important numbers in here. This is a direct reflection of how well this is going to perform, and a relatively good proxy for the quality score that you can expect for wrapping up a campaign with these ad groups and the keywords that you got from the last service. So that's how you can use these services to build up campaigns and make estimates that generate ideas for how you can get the most successful campaigns on AdWords for a given set of targeting ideas. How do you optimize these campaigns? Once you've created them, say you use those ideas and you want to iterate on them and they've been serving for a while, how do you optimize campaigns that have already been in existence and running in AdWords for a little while? This is where the reporting components come into play. Once the campaigns have been serving for a bit, you definitely need to optimize them. You should go back to see how well your estimate's performing. None of these operations should be performed in a vacuum. It's almost, having an AdWords account is almost like having a plant. It needs to be watered and maintained, otherwise you don't know what's going to happen. Some of the key places where you can get reporting data to make these types of decisions are from the keyword performance report, the search query performance report, and the criteria performance report. These reports provide actual performance data, including data that's not available in estimates, including quality score and conversions. So the previous data are estimates. This is actually about what's happening in AdWords for your serving campaigns. So instead of using estimated CTR as a proxy for quality score, you can compare what you got in the previous estimates to the actual quality score you're seeing for your serving campaigns. And if you're enabled conversion tracking, you can actually take a look at conversions as a rock-solid estimate of how well these things are doing. It's one thing to get clicks, but are they converting into sales? And that's one of the most important things that you can get through AdWords. So you can take a look at your quality score and conversions from these reports and iterate on your campaigns based on the data that you receive here. So a simple but very effective way to optimize, you can use the report data to remove low quality score keywords. This will improve the performance of your campaigns. This is a very simple optimization algorithm where you can just take a look at what you've got serving already, order your current campaigns and keywords by the quality score that they're receiving in AdWords, and pick, say, the top 75% and drop the bottom 25% in terms of quality score. A simple optimization technique like this, applied on a regular basis, say once per month, can have actually very fantastic results when compared to not doing something like this on a regular basis. Recently within Google, 290 real accounts were optimized using a very simple method like this, where all we did was pick the highest performing quality score keywords and drop the rest. The result of performing one cycle of optimization like this resulted in click volume increase of 26% and a 62% improvement in CTR. So it's actually a very, very effective way and a very low-hanging fruit to get pretty substantial results. We're just doing very simple optimization based on very simple quality score rankings of keywords. So you can actually not only do that, but you can actually iterate on a regular basis using the estimates as well. So not just looking at the reporting data to throw out what you know isn't doing well, you can also add new estimates based on the TargetingIdeaService and the TrafficEstimator Service to replace those keywords that you've dropped in the previous step. So a very simple optimization cycle may look like this. You get the reporting data for your existing campaigns. Once you have that, order by quality score and remove the lowest performing keywords. Then take the highest performing keywords, feed them into the TargetingIdeaService and TrafficEstimator Service, like we mentioned in the previous slides, and get new estimate data and new targeting ideas. Based on those new targeting ideas, add those as new keywords to replace the ones you just threw away. And that could be your optimization cycle. Rinse and repeat that once on a regular basis, say once a month, once every few months, on a weekly basis, whatever makes sense for you and the type of traffic that you receive for your website. So this is the fundamentals involved in a very basic optimization cycle, but implementing something like this can have profound results on your campaigns and your AdWords account performance. So here's some resources that you can also refer to on using the tools within the AdWords UI. So these two resources specifically talk about the Keyword Planner tool, how you can get ideas and also get traffic estimates from the Keyword Planner. Even though these are very UI-centric guides, they focus heavily on the ideas that we talked about here, and these two UI components actually use the same data as the Targeting Idea Service and the Traffic Estimator Service underneath to come up with the estimates and ideas that they give you. So the concepts in both of these guides can be mapped back very, very straightforwardly to the two services that we've been talking about today. So these are actually excellent guides that can help you on how you should, in the business logic that you should implement in using these two services. So I want to thank you for watching the video today, and I hope it was informative. Again, my name is Ohren for the Google Developer Advocates and the AdWords API. Take care.